To successfully charge somebody with murder, you need to prove that they had the opportunity to carry out the deadly deed. So, where and when exactly was Mordechai Grey murdered? Here's what we know. At 7 p.m. on the 31st of October, Grey was scheduled to reveal his latest exhibition of portraits at Gallery Argenta. The last time he was seen or heard by anyone was when he delivered the final portraits to the gallery at 3 p.m. He told the gallery manager he had a final errand to run and that he'd be back before the grand opening. But he never came back. According to the coroner, Mordechai was murdered at precisely 7 p.m., the same time his exhibition opened. Where was he murdered? In his artist's loft on Sunvale Parade, the same place the body was found. So it's likely our killer wouldn't have had a corroborated alibi for the time of the murder.
Why were you trying to leave the island on the night of the murder?
I told you I had an audition in Paris.
They said you didn't turn up.
I couldn't make it because of the storm. But I was waiting at the docks for hours. Don't they have CCTV there?
Yes.
And?
We'll check.
I'm not famous enough yet to have a body double. I told you I wasn't trying to flee the island. I had an audition in Paris on the 1st.
Cutting it a bit fine, weren't you?
I could have made it if you hadn't stopped me from getting the last boat.
And where were you before that, between 4 and 7 p.m?
At home. Packing.
Can anyone confirm that?
No, I live alone.
I was in town with Jenna. Loads of people must have seen us. From about 4 o'clock onwards.
What time did you leave?
I helped Jenna shut up shop. Then we both headed to the gallery at about 8 p.m. It couldn't have been me. You know where I was. You called me to fetch a body from the hills.
Where were you between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m?
In the basement, pickling that tourist.
Alone?
Yes. It's not really a spectator sport.
I was at the gallery from about 6 p.m. onwards.
Can anyone corroborate?
I was talking to this woman, Sasha. Yeah, she runs the place. She knew I was there.
What about your puppet?
You'd have to ask him. I was at home.
Why?
Well, Marcy's gig had been cancelled. I knew there'd be alcohol at the gallery and I didn't want to tempt myself.
When was the last time you drank alcohol?
This morning.
So by tempt yourself, you mean...
I didn't want to see his face. Mordecai.
I was at the gallery from 6:30, talking to Sasha with some others.
Yeah, we know where you were. But did you see anyone else?
Only unfamiliar faces.
Can you describe them?
I didn't really pay attention. I was trying to find Mordecai. I was at home.
The whole day?
I was preparing for a costume party.
On your own?
Yes. I was on my own until about 7:30.
Can anyone verify your whereabouts on the evening of the 31st of October?
My friends. They were with me from around 6 o'clock.
Where exactly?
At my house.
And they were there the whole time? What were you doing?
Talking to ghosts. Well, trying to anyway.
Where were you the evening of the 31st of October?
I told you, I was at the gallery.
No one there could recall seeing you before 8 p.m. Where were you before that?
At home.
Alone? Or with your family?
I was alone.
I wasn't even here on Halloween. I was in Germany. It was a whole organised hunting thing. They photographed me next to my passport.
Why didn't you go to opening night?
The more I got to know Mordecai, the less I became a fan. I was supposed to go on a hunting trip, but it got cancelled. I just stayed in my house, drink in one hand, rifle in the other, waiting for Caroline to come home.
So, just to confirm, you never left Merlehaven on Halloween?
No. Like I said, I just stayed at my house.
Any witnesses?
No. Thankfully, Caroline never showed.
It was a cold and frosty morning on the 31st of October when Grey received a solitary telephone call that police traced back to a public phone box in the theatre district. The call lasted for 44 seconds and appeared to be from one of Grey's portrait subjects. During the forensic sweep of his loft that night, police found a note in Grey's handwriting that read, "Unhappy. Destroyed portrait. Meet at lockup. 4 p.m. Why do they think the killer made the call? Because it gave them the opportunity to enter Mordechai's loft when they knew he would be absent, concealing themselves, waiting for their prey to return.
Where were you on the morning of the 31st of October?
Getting a tattoo. It was a spur-of-the-moment decision. I wanted something to symbolize my new start. Would you like me to show you, Detective?
So you didn't have an appointment?
No, but Pearl wasn't busy. You can check with her if you like. I was in there for about 3 hours.
What were you doing in the theatre district on the morning of the 31st of October?
I had to pick some things up from Adams.
So, Mr. Taylor can vouch for you?
No, he wasn't there. He just left them outside.
Did you use the payphone?
Yes, but only to call a cab. My battery was dead.
I sometimes use that phone if I'm running late with a funeral, but there was no funeral. We're shut on Halloween.
Did you use the payphone to call anyone?
No, I was pouring myself into a Halloween costume most of the morning. I was in the phone booth, but I didn't make a call.
What were you doing?
I was putting up flyers.
For what? You're the only undertaker on the island.
For the meat business.
We didn't find anything in the booth.
Good. Means someone took it.
No, I didn't find anyone from there.
Can you prove it?
I was home the whole day.
Witnesses?
My couch. Oh, no, actually, yeah. No, my mother. She was cleaning the place the whole morning. I called a few fans, yeah.
You didn't call Mordechai Grey?
I lost his number a long time ago.
How long were the calls?
Not long, usually a minute or so. They usually just want me to say something using his voice, you know.
Did you call Grey?
Oh, yeah, I dialed 666 666. That's it, isn't it?
That's actually quite close.
I was in a council meeting all morning. Ask the triumvirate.
Did you break to use the payphone?
No. And you should know this already. But the council building is miles away from the theatre district.
Sorry, Professor.
I don't recall. Sorry.
Have you ever used the phone box in the theatre district?
Yes.
On Halloween?
I said I don't remember. Why? Did anyone see me?
Do you often visit the theatre district?
We used to. We like the deli.
Did you go there on the morning of Halloween?
No.
You're sure?
Yes, I was running a training camp for some local children.
Where was this?
At our house. We have a private court and Monday insisted we share it.
Is it you in this photo?
Yes.
It was taken the morning of Halloween. Who were you calling from the payphone?
A colleague of my parents.
Why didn't you use the phone at home?
I didn't want them to recognise the number. I thought they might not answer.
Why not?
It's a private matter. Can we just leave it at that?
No, I didn't use the phone that day.
But you do frequently use the public phone booth Mr. Grey was called from.
Yes, but not on that day. What are you trying to say, Detective? I was going to make a call, but I didn't have any money on me.
We have an eyewitness who claims they saw you with the phone to your head.
Yes, that's what I do. I picked up the phone, started dialing, and then realized I didn't have any money.
Who were you going to call?
An old friend.
Grey's killer definitely knew him. Why? Because the crime scene had no signs of forced entry or exit, and only his coveted diamond orc figurine was missing. Justice Hoon, who was deputizing at the time, surmised the killer must have used a key. How did they get that key? Hoon had two theories. Firstly, perhaps Grey had befriended one of his subjects, or was having a romantic relationship with one, and thus had given them a key. Secondly, and more plausibly, perhaps the killer had simply found Mordechai's spare key. He kept it attached to a powerful magnet, out of sight, but easily within reach, above his doorway.
Did he give you a key?
No.
How did you get in?
Well, the usual way. I knocked and Mordecai opened the door. He had a lot of valuables in there, so I don't think he'd trust me with a key. We weren't exactly close. I told you I don't have a key. There was a spare key above the door, but that's not much use when you're locked inside.
Locked inside?
He liked to lock the doors when he painted me.
So you knew where the spare key was?
Obviously, I just told you.
He said his spare had gone missing.
From where?
I have no idea. And even if I did, I wouldn't have let myself in.
Why not?
It would have been a bit creepy. I had a locksmith make 2 keys for Mordecai and change the lock.
We only found one.
Well, then you've still got one to find.
Do you have a key?
No. Why would I? He keeps one above the doorway.
You knew about the spare?
Didn't everyone?
Didn't know about any key. Was never offered one.
Can you pick locks?
No, I'm a ventriloquist, not a thief.
We've got a record of a theft.
I stole a chocolate bar when I was 12, so thanks for bringing that up. I'd used it once, months ago. I mean, I'd left Pip there and needed to get him for a gig.
Did you keep the key?
Nah. Actually, now you mention it, I can't remember. Maybe I've still got it.
I didn't know about the key.
Did he ever leave you alone in the loft?
No. I don't get myself into those kinds of scrapes. I asked him to lock the door during our sessions to make sure nobody could get in. That's when he told me about the spare key.
Ever use it?
I'm Vice Justice. I don't need a key. Doors simply open for me.
Did Mordecai give you a key to his studio?
No.
What about your sister?
No.
It says here you and your sister received youth cautions for unlawful entry a few years ago.
Yes, but that was false. Father was just trying to teach us a lesson. He got one of his friends to dress up like a police officer to scare us. That wasn't pretend.
Mr. Grey's cleaner says that she discovered you alone inside the studio a couple of weeks before his death.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. Monday left her coat behind. I went back to get it.
How did you get in?
The spare key. It wasn't hidden very well. But I was only in there a moment and I put it right back.
He left me alone once in his loft, but it wasn't Halloween.
Did you know about the spare key?
No.
Did you take the diamond figurine?
No, why would I do that?
You seem agitated.
Because it sounds like you think I'm a suspect. I told him to get one, so yes, I knew about the spare key.
Did you ever use it?
A couple of times, yes. That man was probably late to his own funeral.
Did you go to his funeral?
No. Did you?
In many murder cases, the killer inadvertently leaves microscopic evidence at the crime scene that is later used to apprehend them. The murder of Mordechai Grey was no exception. That Halloween, a forensics expert pulled hemp fibers from the soft furnishings and wooden floor of Mordechai's loft. They were presumed to have been left by the killer, and although their precise movements could not be tracked, the freshness of the hemp fibers meant they'd been deposited recently. Forensics tracked those fibers down to one place, and one place alone. Murnhaven's butterfly sanctuary. But what did it mean? Based on the decomposition of the trace evidence found, forensics believed that Grey's murderer had visited the butterfly sanctuary just a day or two before their deadly deed.
When was the last time you visited the butterfly sanctuary?
A few weeks ago? That was where Adam proposed.
Did you go there on Halloween?
No, it's not a sanctuary anymore. Just another reminder of how I screwed things up.
Did you visit the butterfly park the day of the murder?
Briefly, yes.
And what were you doing there?
Looking at the butterflies. Thinking about the sheer force of will needed to become someone new. Why?
Just trying to establish a timeline.
Aren't we all?
I scatter ashes at the butterfly park all the time.
Wearing disposable overshoes?
Yeah. When you scatter as many dead people as I do, you don't want to be treading them about forever. My own shoes wouldn't have a trace. I was there the day before Halloween. It's a popular resting place.
How do you stop yourself treading in the ashes?
I don't.
So if we tested the shoes you're wearing now...
They'd say I'd been to the butterfly park.
I did one gig there and hung out a few times trying to find someone. That's it.
When did you last visit the butterfly park?
I don't know, summer, I guess. I'm waiting to meet someone there.
So you've been to the butterfly park recently?
Yeah, I go there almost every day at the moment, in case she comes back.
We denied a permit for the pesticide, so they've denied me access to the park.
You're not allowed into the butterfly park?
I don't know how they'd stop me, but I didn't want to go anyway. Haven't been for months. I've been in and out over the past few weeks. They're appealing our permit decision.
When was last time?
Day before Halloween? Whenever I turn up, they just make a big song and dance about having to clear up so many butterfly corpses.
Do you visit the butterfly sanctuary?
Not really. My parents used to work there, though.
Did you ever help them?
No, I'm a tennis player, not a geneticist.
When did you last go there?
I've never been there.
Never?
It's a butterfly sanctuary. It's for tourists and old people.
Do you ever visit the butterfly sanctuary?
My parents were working there. Not anymore, though.
We think the murderer visited the sanctuary sometime in the days leading up to Mordechai Grey's murder. We found fibres at the scene.
Well, as I said, my parents worked there, so there was probably some cross-contamination.
I'm a patron at the butterfly sanctuary. Obviously I go.
On Halloween?
No, not on Halloween. Actually, not for a few weeks. I am so behind on my work.
And what work is that again?
Making clocks. I'm a clockmaker. I'm a patron and I had to deliver some paperwork.
So you were at the butterfly park on Halloween?
Yes. along with half of Merlehaven.
I think that's all we need.
What does that mean?
Mordechai Grey was subdued before his murder in the most devious of ways, by a debilitating injection to the neck. A toxicology report from the coroner revealed that Grey had been dosed with a near-perfect amount of ketamine, just enough to tranquilize him without inducing a heart attack. So our murderer knew exactly what they were doing. Or maybe they got lucky. Either way, Grey was thought to have staggered around for dozens of seconds until he finally lost consciousness. The method of delivery is still disputed. Some reports say it was via syringe, whilst others believe it was a tranquilizer dart, such as the ones favored by boar hunters on Merlehaven. What does this mean for our investigation, though? Well, the murderer needed access to the drug, a syringe or dart, and perhaps some medical knowledge, unless dosage is something they could easily look up on a public worldwide resource electronically.
So, you administered the ketamine yourself, or did a doctor do it?
They showed me how much to give him, but I couldn't do it.
I see.
I returned it all to the pharmacy about a week before Halloween. You can check with them. It was all there.
We'll do that. The pharmacy said you collected syringes and ketamine a few months ago.
Those are my dad's. I've been meaning to get rid of them.
Why does your dad need ketamine?
He doesn't. He's dead. It was for his breathing.
And this was something he administered himself?
No, I did it. He could barely move by that point.
Ketamine is something I neither want nor have access to.
Possession of cannabis, though?
Yeah, and I already told you why I had that.
You found it in a corpse.
Yes. Ketamine is not my thing. Why are you asking? Is that what was used on Mordechai? Ketamine can be pretty lethal.
Do you own any?
I've never noticed that little scar on your cheek. It's quite cute.
Do you own any ketamine?
No, I don't own any. I found it.
Been offered a lot of things stronger than that.
Have you had ketamine in your possession?
No, I don't do drugs at all. Unless they're prescribed.
That's hard to believe.
Well, it's the truth. Alcohol's my demon, not drugs. I was prescribed ketamine in tablet form.
Why are you specifying tablets?
Because I assume it was a liquid form used on Mordechai.
How do you know that?
Well, because you can't inject tablets.
How do you know it was injected?
Well, I don't know, because force-feeding them tablets sounds silly.
No, I don't take any medication. I'll happily grant a warrant for you to look in my house if you'd like.
But you keep ketamine at Merlehaven Manor.
Yes, for patients. It's all heavily locked and documented by a third party. I can't just sneak out with anything. I'm sure you already know there's ketamine at the manor.
Do you have access to it?
I have a key, yes.
Anything gone missing recently?
I don't know. I'd have to check.
I'm a professional athlete. I don't do drugs.
Have you ever taken them?
Once, years ago.
Where did you get them from?
A friend, but I'm not telling you his name.
Might your friend have access to ketamine?
I doubt it. He's in prison.
Your parents recently obtained ketamine via the pharmacy. Do you know why?
Well, you'd have to ask them. But they sometimes use animals as test subjects. Perhaps they needed to anaesthetize them.
Do you know where they keep it?
In the lab, I presume, in our basement.
So you could have access to it if you wanted.
If I wanted, but I didn't.
I'm not allowed within 100 feet of ketamine. Mother had an injunction.
Against ketamine?
Yes. I've dabbled in the past, and she thought it was the best way to keep me clean.
You're a mother's boy.
It's an injunction. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I've used ketamine for hunting in the past.
Do you know how much to administer to knock someone out?
Yes. I used to be a surgeon. That's not a crime, is it?
Would we find any in your house if we looked?
You'll need a warrant.
As you might have realized by now, Mordechai Grey was not having a great Halloween. After being incapacitated, Gray's assailant proceeded to tie him to a chair with a piece of climbing rope that was found at the scene. Grey himself was not a climber, and there was no reason to believe the rope had started life in his loft. A later analysis concluded the murderer had some kind of chalk residue on their hands that had been transferred to the rope during bondage. Whilst chalk is commonly used as a component of many things, the forensics examiner was adamant they were looking for a killer who either weightlifted at Merlehaven's gym, was a rock climber, or a patron of Daxon's sporting goods. But doesn't it also mean that our murder was premeditated? Whoever tied Mordecai up had something they wanted to say to him before dealing the final blow.
Do you still have any of his climbing gear?
I kept his harness, sentimental items. I gave everything else to Frank, one of his buddies.
Any rope?
No, good quality rope is pretty expensive, so he called dibs on that straight away.
Have you recently bought anything from Daxon's?
No.
Work out at the gym?
No.
Are you a rock climber, Miss Sarand?
In the past, when I was younger, but not anymore.
But you still have climbing rope?
My dad had some climbing gear, but that's now all in boxes.
I don't own any rope. Stan lowers the coffins, he owns the rope.
Ever been to the gym?
Is that your best chat-up line?
Answer the question, please.
Not for at least a year. You can check with them.
Do you rock climb?
No, you know I don't. What is going on? You and I both know about the residue.
How do you know about the residue?
Come on, it's on my gloves, isn't it? The disposable gloves I wear. It's the same chalk the coroner found on the body.
I haven't been to either of those places for years.
When was the last time?
A decade or two? Is that long enough?
Nobody has seen you in those places. We just need to hear it from you.
Oh, great. So you just get innocent people to incriminate themselves. I'm sure they've already told you. I've been going to the gym every week since rehab.
Ever dust your hands before lifting?
Yeah, I'm a sweaty guy.
That's all we needed to know.
That's interesting, but I'm not a patron of either of those stores.
Do you like rock climbing?
No, it's a blight. I keep deauthorizing zones for rock climbing. Too messy when they fall. I get some things delivered from there.
What things?
Items for the yacht, mainly. Fishing rods, ropes.
Who delivers?
I don't know. Angelica? She's from the gym.
Tennis players use chalk on their hands, is that correct?
Some do. It helps with grip.
Do you use it?
No, I don't like the way it feels.
What about when you're at the gym? I assume you go to the gym.
Well, we have a private gym at home.
Any chalk there?
No. As I said, I don't like the way it feels.
Do you own any rope?
That's a bizarre question. Don't most people?
Okay, let's try another question. Do you use chalk on your hands to play tennis?
No.
Then why would Philip Daxon tell us you regularly bought chalk at his store?
Well, he probably confused me for Monday. It happens a lot.
I don't have any rope. I did, but I threw it away a while ago.
Now, why did you have rope?
For roping things.
When did you throw it away?
Oh, well before Halloween. Yes, I have brought rope from there in the past.
That same type of rope was used on Mr. Grey.
Melhaven's a small place. If you have any rope, it's probably the same.
You bought rope the week before Halloween.
I had some wood that needed tying up.
Let's talk about Marina Yoshikawa, a professional cleaner who was employed to clear and clean Gray's loft 3 times a week. He had given her 2 rules to follow. Firstly, the 3 cleaning days were not to be known in advance, and Marina was meant to turn up unannounced. Secondly, and this is more interesting, Marina was to only speak in Japanese when working for Grey. Fatefully, Marina turned up to clean on Halloween at 10 minutes past 4. She remembers distinctly because the door had been bolted from the inside, and when she asked in Japanese whether she should come back another time, she was shocked to receive a rude dismissal, also in Japanese. Mordechai had never spoken to her that way before, so she quickly fled, but on later reflection admitted to Justice Huhn it definitely was not Gray's voice. The voice she heard was not deep enough, and Grey couldn't speak a word of Japanese. However, we can all assume that the murderer could.
I don't know what that means. I don't speak Japanese.
But you could tell it was Japanese.
It was a guess. I've watched a lot of anime.
Enough to pick up a few phrases?
I can say arigato, but that's about it.
I find that hard to believe.
Well, you've been to a lot of my shows, Detective. Have you learned how to dance yet?
Usually on the job.
Me too.
So, you had a Japanese boyfriend in London.
He wasn't my boyfriend. We were just sleeping together.
Did he teach you any Japanese?
Only the really filthy stuff.
I barely know any English, let alone Japanese.
Can you speak any other languages?
No. But I've got a great range of filthy looks. I use an app.
So you can speak Japanese?
No. But if the app is running, it can translate what they're saying.
Can it speak?
Sounds a bit mechanical, but it has a voice, yeah.
I can speak English and Spanish, that's it. So, no hablo japonés. I know enough Japanese to get a woman into bed.
Like what?
Well, anything to do with beds, hotels, compliments and book downs.
You'd be able to speak to a cleaner?
Yeah, sure. You need a do not disturb sign, I'm your man.
I don't speak Japanese.
Can you prove it?
How?
Say something not in Japanese?
You're wasting time, Detective. Find a real suspect and do a proper job. I know enough to get by.
Ever spoken to Marina?
I don't think Mordechai would have allowed it.
Did you speak to her?
I mean, you should ask her. I don't remember.
I saw a documentary about you and your sister. You were training with a Japanese coach.
Do you mean G?
That's the one. Do you speak much Japanese?
No, G is Korean, Detective.
So you don't know any Japanese?
No, and clearly neither do you.
Tell me about Tokyo.
It's the capital of Japan.
You've played there?
Twice, yes.
Learn any of the language?
I know a few travel phrases. I can just about make myself understood, but Monday was the language geek.
I can make out some words, but I can't speak any. My teacher was Japanese.
Kyoko?
Yes.
She was reported missing by her family some time ago.
Konnichiwa. Doesn't everyone know that?
So you can speak Japanese?
Enough. My teacher was Japanese, so I picked some up.
Did you talk with Marina?
I never spoke to Marina face to face.
What about from behind a door?
Do I need a lawyer?
Incapacitated and tied to a chair with climbing rope, Mordechai Grey would finally meet his end. Stabbed to death with an antique silver dagger. Finding the murder weapon is often a pivotal moment in any murder case, but sadly, not this time. The silver dagger had been dumped in an alley behind Sunvale Parade in a commercial wheelie bin. With no prints or trace evidence to go on, it was fortuitous that the only antiques dealer on Merlhaven, Ishmael Gauchi, remembered selling the piece just weeks before. But who did they sell it to? None other than Mordechai Grey. But was it really Mordechai? The transaction had been made with an envelope of cash, and the purchaser was wearing motorcycle leathers and a helmet, obscuring their identity. Ishmael stated that the buyer asked for the piece by its display case number, a very important point. Why? Because the dagger had only been available inside the store since the beginning of October, so the murderer or their accomplice must have visited the antiques dealer in that time.
Have you been in the antique shop recently?
I've looked in the window, but I've never been inside. Their prices are a bit overblown.
You know Ishmael?
Is that the owner? No. I spoke to him on the phone once about selling some watches. He wasn't interested.
Ishmael said you visited his store recently.
Who?
The antique store owner?
Oh, yes. I was trying to sell some of my dad's old watches. I needed the money to get to Paris.
Did you buy anything?
I don't remember.
You don't remember if you bought anything?
I was very upset at the time.
I've never been in that shop.
You've never been in the antique shop,
No. Nobody's died there yet.
Do you own a motorbike?
No. But I've got lots of clients that did. Jenna is always antiquing. And I have to hear about everything she's seen.
Does she collect antique weapons?
You need to ask her about that.
Does Jenna own a motorbike?
She does.
Ever run errands for you?
We're besties. What do you think?
Ishmael's a lovely guy, but I've never even been in his shop. I mean, I couldn't afford an antique even if I wanted one.
Ever had any dealings with Ishmael?
He made an offer to buy Pip once. And nobody's found Pip. Maybe you should be questioning him. Yeah, I've got a motorbike, so what?
Fits the description we've got.
What description? It's got 2 wheels. I've been doing work as a courier just to make ends meet.
For the antique store?
Sometimes.
Ever pick up a silver dagger?
I'm bored. I want a lawyer.
I've never been. I buy antiques online, half the price and twice as authentic.
Ever seen this dagger?
That's a very bad replica of a luxurious Chenkadea. It's missing all the details on the hilt, and it's the wrong shape.
Is it yours?
No, it's sacrilegious. We have several of those.
You have several knives.
The manner. We have a display of them. They were used a lot in luxurious rituals.
Is this one yours?
Could be. I buy them for the collection whenever I see them.
Your parents are friends with Ishmael, who runs the antique shop, that correct?
I suppose, so far as they're capable of having friends.
Have you visited his shop?
No, I don't share their appreciation for antiques.
Do you own a motorbike?
No, it's not really my style. They get their antiques from lots of different places. Auctions, mostly.
What about Ishmael's shop? Do you go there often?
Not really. I'm not into old things.
But you were there a few weeks before Mordechai's murder.
Oh, yes, Father asked me to collect something for him.
Did you look around?
For a minute. Ishmael had to fetch the item from storage.
I've not been to Ishmael's for months. Ask him yourself.
When was the last time?
February? I sold some shrunken heads. Business is not booming.
Bought any antiques recently?
No. I've still got Mother's junk to get rid of. Sometimes Ishmael has antique clocks for sale.
So, when was your last visit?
A few days ago. It's not a secret.
Anything catch your eye?
No.
An antique silver dagger, maybe?
Yes, I did ask to have a look at it because I assumed it was silver-plated at the price he was asking for it. It wasn't.
It's common practice in murder investigations to hide certain details from the press and public, so that if anyone comes forward to confess, they can quickly be ruled out. For the murder of Mordechai Grey, Justice Hoon decided to leave out one very important detail indeed. A symbol that had been drawn on Grey's forehead, in blood. According to Merlhaven mythos, the symbol belonged to the Luxyrus cult, who believe spirits can tangibly interact with our world. Cult members secretly recognize each other semantically by pairing two colors together whilst talking, like purple-blue sky, to alert others of their presence. The symbol drawn on Grey was a warding spell, meant to stop spirits returning in corporeal form. However, it had been drawn incorrectly and could instead trap a spirit in the material world. Our murderer must have known about that symbol and how to use it, albeit not entirely accurately.
Sorry, what?
Luxyrus cult?
No, that doesn't mean anything to me.
And what about this symbol?
That was in my dad's notebook. What does it mean?
Some people believe it offers protection.
Well, my dad's dead, so you can let them know it doesn't work. I'm not really cult material. They're generally overdressed for me, you know, all the robes.
But you've seen the symbol before.
It's funny. Once you've seen it, you start noticing it everywhere. It's all over the island, hidden in plain sight.
Can you draw it?
I've got it tattooed.
It's familiar, like childhood familiar, but no, I don't know what it is or what it's supposed to be.
Could you draw it?
No. And I wouldn't use anyone's blood. I respect the dead too much. Yeah, I have seen that symbol before. It's a spirit warding spell.
Would you know how to draw it?
Mum drew these in the mortuary all the time, so yeah, I could give it a go. Want me to do it now?
I put those symbols on Pip, and they're pagan.
Or Luxyrus?
I don't even know what that is.
They're a cult.
Well, I need to advertise more, because I've never heard of them. I've seen that symbol before, yeah.
Ever drawn one?
I'm not a member of Luxyrus.
Ever drawn one?
Yeah, I've been researching a film role. I searched some of that stuff up.
I am very aware of the Church of Luxyrus, thank you.
Cult.
How vulgar.
So you're aware of this symbol?
No, because it's been drawn incorrectly.
Maybe you did that on purpose.
Unlike you, I don't make mistakes. It's a warding spell.
What's it for?
It prevents spirits remaining here after death.
How do you know that?
Education.
So you know how to draw this?
Yes.
So you also know it's wrong.
What? No. Let me see it again.
Ever heard of the Church of Luxairis?
No.
What about this symbol? Have you seen this before?
No, sorry.
You're sure?
I'm sure.
That's a lovely dress you're wearing. What colour is that?
Green. May I go now?
One of our detectives noticed this symbol in your diary.
You've been reading my diary?
They said they found it open. Care to explain what it means?
I don't know what it means. I just saw it and I copied it.
So you could draw it?
I could copy it.
Never heard of them.
The Luxairis cult?
I heard you the first time. I've never heard of them.
The carvings on your clocks, they seem similar.
So I've copyright infringed a cult? I made them up. Maybe I've subconsciously seen something similar before. I've heard of it. The greeny-blue symbols, is that what you mean?
The Luxairis cult. Are you a member, Mr. Hahn?
It's not a cult, it's a church.
Thank you, Mr. Hahn.